Joshua Himan is a business valuation expert, transaction advisor, and CFO with over 15 years of experience advising lower middle market business owners and private equity firms. Josh holds graduate degrees in finance from George Washington University and applied economics from Johns Hopkins, along with numerous professional certifications. After beginning his career in business, Josh enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2008. He trained at Paris Island as a 331 machine gunner and deployed to Afghanistan in 2009 as part of Operation Strike of the Sword, the largest Marine offensive since the Battle of Fallujah. On September 29, 2009, the Humvee Josh was riding in struck an IED, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. He was awarded the Purple Heart and Combat Action Ribbon, among other commendations. Josh went on to co-found the Driving Rehabilitation Center of Excellence, which has helped thousands of people with disabilities return to driving. Today, he is the founder of Business Valuation Advisors, Inc., a boutique valuation and transaction advisory firm serving clients nationwide.
Welcome to the MILCOM Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MILCOM business founder to learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rod Loches. Let's meet today's guest. On today's MILCOM Founders Podcast, we get to champion and celebrate Joshua Himan, a Marine Corps veteran, while we hopefully educate and inspire other business owners. Thanks for joining us today, Josh.
Appreciate it, Rod.
Well, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. So who is Josh Himan?
Well, that's a convoluted question.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things in my life, and I look forward to getting into them. And you'll find out, I think, by the end of this, who I am.
That's right. That's right. So, are you from a big family, little family? Give me just
So, I mean, both my parents. I come with three other siblings, two brothers and a sister. We grew up playing sports, so caught us on the baseball field, football field, and two of my brothers and sisters became college athletes.
Oh.
So so definitely came from a very athletic family. That was kind of definitely my upbringing, and I kind of leads into, I growing up in Northern Virginia. Right.
Uh-huh.
And I think the natural thing is, obviously, why did I join the military? And so obviously, so unfortunately, 9/11 happened when I was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously the world changed at that point. But by the time I had graduated, what was kind of really going on, to go back in time, is Afghanistan wasn't really a long war. Basically we went in there, dropped a lot of bombs or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wasn't, at the time, focused on the military. But my freshman year in college, the Iraq War had started. And that was a different seeing my fellow, guys who had joined the military. They were coming back as war veterans, and being in people I was in school with were now going into war, and that really changed my perspective on things. And so, but I was really at that time I was really focused on business. That was really what I wanted to do as a career. I was a finance major, so my whole idea was to be a business guy. But like you said, so I graduated from college.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Radford University.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're very smart. I'm surprised you went to Radford. I'm kidding.
Well, I tell you what, I had a great time at Radford. You talk about you learn a lot of things. You learn a lot about people, leadership. I mean, really, it's some of the best years of my life.
Party school.
Yeah, and it really, a lot of people will talk about, what caused you to join the military. I was like, I had a really good 4-year investment at Radford. It was really good for my life, and overall. And I said, what's another 4 years, right?
What's another 4 years? Yeah, no problem, right?
So So, I started in business and I really wasn't fulfilled by it. Like it was nice, it was aggressive. I was, in sales, making money, getting, recognition, but I was like, hey, this is it. And, so I really was just like, hey, you know what? I have no time to wait. I got to do this now. And,
Wow.
so I, so I ended up, well, it's an interesting story. You talk about the Marine Corps, how to end up joining the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So at the time, I had got moved to. Obviously, I grew up near Quantico. Okay, and I was in there. I was in there one day and was working, and it was on a Saturday, and a Marine Corps general came in there.
Are you kidding
The
me?
Marine Corps general
Huh?
came in. He handed me his card, right, and he has to give me his license. And of course, they all want the military discount. Let's
Yep.
be
Yep.
honest, okay? And
Sure.
well deserved. And so I see O, right, and I'm like, hey, that's you know that's a big number right there. And I was like, you know what? I could follow that man in combat. You know what I'm saying? I just was
Wow.
very inspired by that
Do you remember
man.
the general's name?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. Wow, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's all right.
We'll connect it back
Yeah.
up. Well, I got a lot of obviously I have a lot of Marine Corps stories, but that's kind of my intro. So all of a sudden, fast forward, literally. So it was very interesting. One day, I've been to a recruiter, and if you want to get in the Marines today, hey, you're talking a year out. It's
Hmm.
2 years out. It's a lot of planning
Yeah.
that goes into. No. When a time when I signed up, literally I was in and I was in boot camp. Literally, he's like, "Are you ready to go?" And I'm like, "I'm ready to go."
Are
And
you kidding me?
yeah, so well, we needed. At the time it was the height of the Iraq War. Okay,
Yeah.
so I knew all the guys that I signed up. We knew we were getting into. Okay, so I get to boot camp. I decide, hey, I have a career that I know I can go out and make money in this world. Let me do the infantry because I'm gonna. This is the time to do it. I want to be a real soldier, and you know what I'm saying. This is the time.
Well,
And
Josh, I've only
please,
I've known you for a while now, and I think if I had a nickname for you, I would call it All In,
yeah,
because I don't think you know how to do anything halfway. You're all in on what you do. So
yeah.
Marine. Hey, okay, I'm a Marine, but why not be infantry too? Holy crap! So,
So thank you, Rod, and I think that talks about that. And so I'm like, okay, and so I'm going to be a machine gunner, and we're ready to go. By the time I'm getting ready to deploy, okay, so I go through obviously infantry school. You get there, your life sucks as a new guy. I'm getting, just getting drilled every day, and we're ready to go. The company commander comes out and he says it's a 99% chance we're going to go deploying to Iraq, and your job's going to be taking down bases. So Barack Obama had been elected president, and one of his
yeah.
mandates was going to be ending the Iraq War. So I'm like, okay, this is my spot, right? So we ended up getting to we doing our workup in I'm trying to think of I can't think of the base in the West Coast before you go.
Hmm.
Real miserable time out there, and in the
Yeah.
workup, and the battalion commander came out, and he said, "I just want to let you know it's official, but our mission has changed, and you're going to be the
Mm.
first units into Afghanistan for the surge, and yeah, you get ready because the mission has
Hmm.
changed." And the
Yeah.
whole tempo of the workup changed. And so, yeah, so all of a sudden, yeah, I'm sitting in the middle of Afghanistan, literally the first units there, putting up
Wow.
the initial tents, no infrastructure, just raw, just sand
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And so
Did you say sand everywhere?
yeah, and
Okay.
and we're getting the speech, like, hey, you go back in this time, you're like, this is what you're gonna tell your grandkids about. This is the combat. These are when the bullets are gonna fly. This is what you're here for. You are application of violence, right?
Hmm.
We're going to show these guys who we are, and you know, so we're going on, and we're the first units, and obviously it lived up to pretty much all the Marine Corps lore. I'm very proud to
Hmm.
my history and say, look, we did a lot with the conditions, being in. This is what I say. My greatest lesson of the military is I was in literally 130-degree weather, right?
Yeah.
Both swollen eyes. I had two pink eyes because my eyes were just swollen from trying to wipe
Oh
away the
yeah.
sweat, and you're just living in the moment, um, with incredible
Embracing the
high.
suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and heat rash, just immeasurable conditions, and then obviously for people to get hurt and injured, right? And obviously, and
Yeah.
then those making the ultimate sacrifice. Well, so translate this. We had a very, and obviously for me, you know, once we got into the combat, it was a very obviously intense experience. The last month I'm on deployment, so we were literally in the last month, and at the time I'm riding in the backseat of a Humvee, and we rolled over an IED,
Hmm.
and at that time, um, we I was ejected from the vehicle along with the other passengers, and I personally sustained multiple spinal cord injuries from
Yeah.
that. Um, and so obviously, obviously my life obviously drastically changed at that moment, getting then obviously coming back to the States, and the hospital, and obviously you can stop and ask me questions, but the hospital recovery time is about two
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
of recovery. But the thing that was my anchor for me at the time was, a couple of things. There was a Marine.
Sure.
I'm sitting in the hospital bed, and I was like, I don't really see what the purpose of life is. You're kind of at that point. For me, I was obviously feeling
Uh
bad
huh.
for myself at the time, and you think
Understandable.
about the others, and and you're saying, hey, but he came back to me. There was a Marine colonel that came in, and he just came to visit me in the hospital. And he said, I heard that you had a degree in finance. And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, you know what?
Hmm.
You can still do business. You know
Hmm.
what? You can still do these things. These are not going to be taken
Yeah.
away from you. And my attitude about life just changed at that moment. And
Wow.
it was very powerful. So yeah, it was
How about a moment of leadership, huh?
yeah, it was just a moment of the inspiration that I needed at that moment to reshape my focus. The commandant came in to pin my Purple Heart, you know, and he
Yeah.
comes in
Yeah.
and he says, "Well, what are you going to do next?" And I said, "I know what I'm going to do. I'm going back into
No
finance,"
shit.
because
Wow.
I was able to say that. So I was really that really, like you said, helped my drive in terms of being able to go with that. A lot of the guys that I was with, they like hunting. Some of the guys they
Yeah.
like fishing. They like this, and I like to do some of the activities too. But my really niche was, hey, I really like business, and I like the mental challenge of those things. So
Yeah. Well, I've known you for, I think we said probably about 10 years is what we're guessing. And, it's, I've watched you learn and grow and, in business. And I see you as a person of leadership as well. And, for your tenacity, your courage, your grit, um, embracing the suck, and you did
yeah,
that. You went back. How many degrees do you have now?
yeah. Well, I had thanks to the government, I had a GI Bill, And
Yeah.
so unlike my first, so I always tell people my first loan I had to pay back, so I
Yep.
know the pain of going to school and what that's like. Now the second time, fortunately Uncle Sam was there, so definitely got a great a chance to go back to school. Unfortunately, there was I still dealt with a lot of things with my injury that prevented me from doing some of the careers that I had initially wanted. I had always dreamed about, I can be an investment banker or this, but the traveling and other things like that.
Hmm.
So it's really only been, I've had to, unfortunately, thank God, for the past couple of years, I was able to get, an operation that had a real drastic change on my life in terms of giving me a lot of hours back that I could commit to work and everything like that. So,
Wow.
yeah, and that's sometimes we talk about, I'll never make the disability as like a type of excuse, but there are a lot of veterans out there, they talk about, like the set asides and things like that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of us out there that's like, hey, we can only work so many hours in a day, right?
Right.
Is that the same? Should we give the same to everybody? You know, where you wouldn't have that restriction, right? Hey, I can
Yeah.
work if I need to work 15 hours in a day. Like you have to grind it out.
Damn.
Sometimes in a startup, you do it, right? Because
Yep.
it's your passion. And there's things like I don't mean to go down too much of that rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
obviously you can see. But I like I said, we can talk about obviously things going forward. But I've been able to
Well,
go ahead.
let me ask you. You've been you've been. I know you're a real estate investor,
Yes.
and but then you went and started to. What was the name of the business you started? And
Yeah.
tell me about that part of the journey.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Yeah, that's been a great part. So what happened was is so it's great segue. So I graduated from business school. Okay. At the
yeah.
time, I'm still working through. I've not been able to independently drive at this point.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's a very big logistic. This is the day before. This is the time before working at home is the new fad,
Yeah.
especially
Right.
starting the career. And so I eventually got hooked up with the lady at Walter Reed. Okay. And
Right.
all of a sudden, this lady puts this package together for me and helps me through this process. And I'm like, you're a godsend. Okay. Because
Uh-huh.
I haven't done this now. And so we kept in touch, and she was getting ready to retire from Walter Reed. She had set up the first and
Oh,
only
great.
driving program at Walter Reed. She had been deployed to Iraq,
And
and
what's her
we
name?
Tammy Phipps.
Amy
Yeah,
Phipps.
yeah. She was the Surgeon General came to see, and they like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a driving OT, and he's like, hey, we need you. Will you come to DC because we need somebody to do it? And she basically took it over, and she helped about 400 of us get back to driving. So
Wow.
what happened was she was getting ready. The essentially last her time was coming up. She had helped the last combat injured guy, right?
Mm.
And she was going to go into private practice. And me and her, I had reached out to her for something, and I was like, "Hey, you're going to start a business. Maybe I can help you."
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, it was a lot of work, obviously with the startup, and
And what's the name of the business?
yeah, it's called Driver Rehabilitation Center of Excellence, and it's in
Uh-huh.
Fairfax, Virginia. And so, yeah, we help people today with. So basically, the idea is with the business, and the reason why I got involved was when somebody has an injury now, like let's say they have a spinal cord injury, literally as soon as they hit the OT, literally we get them driving within once they're ready. So
Wow.
we've seen that as fast as 6 months, right? three
Hmm.
months after injury. So not 4 years like it took for
Unbelievable.
me, yeah, to go through this process to get benefits. And I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
so we really were like, hey, my thing was, okay, not only do we help the veteran community, but it was like, okay, now we need to be able to help anybody with a disability. So,
Hmm.
um, you know, yeah, I can't even count the number of clients that we helped over the number of years, and we have multiple locations now. So we have
Yeah.
one in
And when
Ohio.
did you start this? When did you start it?
We officially started in, I think I started working on the business probably 2014, right? Is probably just when
2014.
I like, we probably officially launched 2016. So it's been about 10 years.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so it's easy, right? You just start up a business and you make money and it's successful, right?
Oh, oh yeah, it's so
It's all
easy.
roses and sunshine, right? Flowers and sunshine. So
Uh,
tell me about a couple of those challenges, Josh, that you had to use that marine grit and
yeah.
leadership to get you from idea to the doors open, you know?
Yeah. Obviously, and obviously a lot of it was obviously, and I would take a lot of credit because Tammy is the, without Tammy, I
Uh-huh.
don't know about everything, but obviously I learned a lot of, obviously, for me, a lot of it was learning a lot of technical things about smaller businesses, right? That they didn't teach us at the bigger school. A lot of
Yeah.
times, when you're in MBA school, you're working on these large companies, right? And things flow, and you have this department and you have that department, and when you're a small business, they had
Yeah.
a lot of hats. Oh, what's this
Yeah.
thing with HR? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
what are the rules with HR? Okay, I got to learn that. Okay, somebody, what do you do with the taxes? How are taxes handled? Right.
That's
Probably
right.
the biggest thing for us that learning about working capital, and you go, hey,
Oh, you
working
don't need
capital.
working capital. No, you just
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
and and how these business cycles and other things like that. So yeah, obviously, I think obviously one of the great things about business is it's always going to teach you, what's going on, but it's definitely not easy. And anybody
Yeah.
who's who says that it is,
Yeah. And so how many, just to guess, how many people do you think your firm has helped
yeah,
learn to drive?
I would definitely say it's gonna be in the I would say it's in the thousands at least, right?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and because I mean, we like I said, and it helps all different types of disabilities, amputees,
Hmm.
literally anybody. And we have, like I said, it's really great to know at the end of the day you're able to help people. And then obviously
Sure.
we have a lot of them, employees, and we try to take care of them in terms of because these people are special, and they, we have a lot of mechanics and stuff, that these guys come in here and they do a lot of these modifications on these vehicles and
Yeah.
things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really been great. It's really going strong. And like I said, it's one of those things where, a good trees produce good fruit, right? And
Good
so,
trees produce good fruit. Yeah.
right. So it's great to see that, like I said, every day,
Well, and
to
imagine
help
when
people.
when you're able to help somebody regain their independence and mobility. I can imagine just the faces and the changes that you see and the gratitude those men and women must feel in helping them regain that again that independence and mobility and freedom.
Yeah.
So it's got to be each time you get that hug from the person who's able to do that again, it's got to be absolutely
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Like I said, yeah, it's such a like I said, it's such a great service, and I'm glad that we open it. And like I said, we just continue to do our best for these clients, and they know that. So
Yeah, that's amazing. So then you got Fairfax up and running.
yeah.
And then you decided what you're gonna open up a location in Columbus, Ohio area. How did
Well,
how did that come about?
well, that obviously
I
Tammy.
mean, go Buckeyes, I get it, but but why?
Well, she is a networker, right? And she's just people just need the service, and eventually we just grew the relationship there, and the demand was there, right? And
Mhm.
so. eventually, hopefully, the idea would be to, fill as much demand as we need, right? But also know that, at the same time, there's not like handouts. So we have to, um, it's kind of like, hey, I would like to, there's a real easy bucket money out there, right? And no, it's
Hmm.
not. We have to run the things, you
Hmm.
have to pay people and other things like that. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that really really, but what happened, it kind of just to transition a little bit. I was looking at obviously running this business, being CFO. My interest got into, uh, okay, hey, owning these small businesses is a great idea, right?
Uh-huh.
It's something different, and so I went out and was looking to acquire other different businesses. And what happened was is I got the financials, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, this is what was this put together, and how did they come up with
Yeah.
this? And I outsourced this to a couple guys. Like, hey, what's your opinion of this? And they didn't really know, and this guy didn't know, and I was like, I need to hit the brakes here, because this is really something that's different, right? And then
Hmm.
what they teach us in business school, right? Again,
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
it's business school, like I said, was great, and you learn a lot of things. But if you're not exactly going to be corporate, and at the
Hmm.
time, corporate just didn't fit with my disability,
That's right.
being able to do that style
It
of
doesn't it doesn't
working.
fit your level of energy too and
Right.
independence.
Right.
It's you are a hard charger, probably before the Marines, after the Marines. And I think if somebody tried to put you in a box, you'd be like, F this. And so it makes absolute sense that you'd be like, this big company stuff's not for me. It teaches a lot of the classical education and principles and things like that, but there's so much that the books don't teach us. It's that
Outside the
so
case
much.
study, right?
Yeah,
You see
outside the
it,
case study,
and if the pressure's not on, you sometimes can feel like it's an assignment, right?
right?
Until money's on the line, it's kind of like sometimes playing poker without money, right? It's a different game. It's what I tell everybody in investing, right? It's kind of a thing. Until you put the money on the line, right? There's a
Different.
different feel to it.
Yeah, I relate to that because with 15 team members now, holy shit, that's a lot of responsibility. That knowing that you got to make payroll for everybody, and everything's great, but it doesn't mean you don't think about it. Okay, well, if I add a new person, well, I'd love to add two new people, but you know, you got to make sure that you got a good, strong foundation for all of your team, not just for yourself. It's challenging. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so back to the story. So
yeah.
you're running the business, but then you say, hey, look, there's something more here, something different that you want to do, and and you wanted to go buy other small businesses, and so tell me about that learning process that you went through there.
Yeah, so so I really came obsessed at that point of learning and wanting to know how they're valued, because
Uh-huh.
obviously I had originally when I got out of business school, a small transition, but I originally went into real estate as a real estate analyst, because I was a real estate investor and I had a lot of background in that. So a lot of the real estate finance. But what I found in a lot of real estate is that basically all real estate transactions have to be reported to the government. So
Hmm.
that's how they know the celebrity homes and other things like that. Well, that does is that allows a lot of comparable analysis, right? Because you're saying, hey, this one, and
Yeah.
we can kind of get into what I liked about business is in private business transaction. No, there is no mandatory database.
Uh-huh.
So really having not only understanding business and how small mid-sized businesses operate, which is different outside the scope, but now understanding, okay, how do we put the numbers together properly so we
Yeah.
can get a valuation on the company? Um, which is the foundation, obviously, of mergers and acquisitions. Is saying, hey, what do we think this business can
Yeah.
trade for? And Yeah, no, I found out that because of my finance, because I had gone back to grad school, and
Yeah.
I had really that deep that theory and understanding the real, it's kind of like one of those things. The more you understand the fundamentals, the more you've mastered something, right? When
That's right.
somebody
That's right.
when somebody's trying to run around the circle and you're seeing a lot of stuff, it's because you don't understand, right? And
Funny.
I work nowadays. I work with a lot of business brokers, but I also represent a lot of buyers and things. And basically, I found kind of because of that background that hey, I'm somewhat efficient on my time and everything to kind of look at these
Yeah.
companies and do evaluation based on my expertise.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of business owners, they start the business, they get in the grind, and they're grinding away. Let me ask you,
Yeah.
how does a business owner, how should a business owner look at valuations? How will a business owner smartly use valuations before the exit? Before, hey, I'm thinking about selling my business. What's the smart ways to use valuations to help build your business over time?
Yeah, one of the ways that I always am biased to, obviously, is to get
Yeah.
an independent opinion of your business, right? One of the things that kind of is a thing in valuation sometimes is there bias in that opinion, right? So
Hmm.
some people like they may say, "Hey, I talked to a business broker or something like that," which is fine, right?
Right.
But they may not. They're incentivized differently,
Hmm.
right? Right. Obviously, and depending on the business owner's sophistication, um, you know, they're getting updates. The ones that are really planning the next date, they're getting usually updated regularly, right?
Hmm.
Right. It's the
Yep.
ones that they're not interested that are not. And unfortunately, a lot of times we know the data says we call it in Israel a dismal D, right?
Oh, what?
Divorce, a dismal
Oh,
D,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
A
Yeah, that's right.
divorce,
Uh-huh.
dissolution. I'm not happy, and then you want to
Yeah.
dispose of this company, and also a lot of it, a lot of because not only with the interesting thing that I had to really go back is these small businesses may not be doing their accounting properly.
Right.
So a lot of it
See
is
that all the time.
we got to look at the quality. Obviously, when I'm representing buyers and things, I'm not only looking for the valuation, but I'm also going to grade. Hey, what's the quality of
Hmm.
these financial statements? What are they? What are they telling me? And
Yeah.
and the funny thing to me is, and obviously, I can only from what perch I can say it from. It's low hanging fruit to just move the numbers around. Formatting your
Hmm.
accounting is about a free lunch as your operations is hard.
Yep.
Marketing is hard. Formatting your financial statements is not a difficult exercise, but can add enormous value to your company
Yeah.
just by the
Yeah. I
way it
think
looks.
if you do it right, not just by the way it looks, but by the insights you gain, what I find is the business owner can use you can use accounting to comply with your taxes, and that's it. Or you can use the accounting as the baseline foundational insights to build your business on top of, to help you make those right decisions with clarity and confidence. And this is kind of why I started One Degree, Josh, was I was so mad at listening to bankers, CFOs, XYZ, smart people when I had my tech business. They'd say, "Oh, here's your report, or your taxes are due, or I was like, ah.
Yeah.
So to me, what I really love to see is when people use valuations on a regular basis to baseline and understand the intrinsic value that it will transact at, that the business would actually sell at. Because if you do it, I'll just say on an annual basis. If you say, okay, let's do this valuation January 1st, every or whatever day of the year, on an annual basis, and say, here's what it is today. And if I take these three or four things and change them, improve them, grow them, take care of a risk that's out there, then my business might be worth X amount more. Or you let it roll and you go, hey, okay, well, I don't, uh, you just
When the
let it
time
roll and you
comes.
hope and you hope and you hope, and then it's too late,
Yes.
And how many times we've seen the founders wish and hope instead of prepare and be ready for those dismal D's or those awesome other things that can happen. Because
Yeah.
if you don't know your valuation, if you don't know, if you're not ready, you're not ready. You can't sell the business. You can't grow the business. You can't add the people. You got to have that clarity. And I really think the valuation of a business is probably one of the most neglected things in building people's business. They just don't do it enough. They don't understand it. They're a great plumber. They're a great techie. They're a great security, whatever. You put in, they're great something,
Right.
but having that clear and, like you said, that unbiased understanding of their business value, then they can build on it. And then when somebody's ready to buy it, it's so much easier. It's so much easier.
Yes. Yeah. I
We've seen it again and again. That's for sure.
I couldn't
So
agree
this
more.
is why I wanted you on the show so much. Is other than you
Yeah.
being a great person, is that I think getting this message out to the founders of looking out, uh, and it doesn't have to be a complete, I mean, I call it an operational valuation. You
Sure.
want to talk about the different types of valuations that
Yeah.
the business owners may consider, what
Yeah.
those are?
There's definitely, levels to the game, and there's definitely, different purposes. Obviously, I do valuations where sometimes I'm looking at the company, and again, it just may be an in review where, hey, I'm going to trust the data that's coming at me, and I'm probably
Yeah,
going to just use the valuation, right? The next level is, okay, I can't just trust your data. I'm going to try to verify your data, which would be a kind of a secondary, obviously level, but obviously, but that's not always necessary, right? So I think obviously tailoring um, um, them to, like I said, a lot of times, like you said, and obviously, and knowing that sometimes business valuation can be done for different purposes too, right?
that's right.
So sometimes when I'm looking at it as they'll be like, "Hey, I got an estate valuation." That may not correlate to your selling value, right?
That's
That has
right.
a lot
A
to
lot
do,
different.
a lot different like that. So there's also some purposes in valuation. But as far as, yeah, telling the small business owners today, especially with like, the way we're getting efficiencies as financial analysts now is really not the excuse. Before, it used to be when you had to pay 8 grand for a valuation, you know, people were like, hey, if I don't need it, right, there may not be
Yeah.
a use for it. But today, obviously with the way technology is moving, especially with me, I'm able to get efficiencies with my time, which I'm able to pass those along to the client.
Yeah. I think today, because of AI and technology and all this stuff, Josh, I think the key component in business today is trust and leadership.
Yes.
Because you can have all the AI in the world, but you've got to have that. You know, do you have the trust of your client
Yes.
so that he or she will listen to you, and that we as advisors to them, that we can challenge our client? Have you thought about X, or have you considered Y? And then they say, yeah, okay. And then sometimes the client will say, you'll talk to them a week or two later and say, hey, on your check-in call, hey, what about that? Well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait.
And
That leadership of, hey, if you wait, you can wait, but if you do wait, it's going to cost you. And how do you have that trusted conversation? And I see you laughing because how many times have you had that conversation,
well,
right?
yeah, well, and you tell them too. And I mean, sometimes I'll look, and at the same way, I'll sometimes, I look at, sometimes a business owner, they'll look at me and I go, look, I value 100 businesses plus a year. I'm gonna know what the value of the company is. This is what I obsess over. this is my mind game. I probably so there's obviously I have some mentors in the valuation game, and they're like, hey, I'm just going to value companies till the day I die, right? Because we
Yeah.
enjoy the exercise of each
Yeah.
business being a little bit, the one thing, like I said, we look about real estate versus business. Each business is still his business is a little bit unique, right? You can
Hmm.
have the same thing too. You can also have different involvements of owners. Sometimes I talk about, when you talk about business value, you could have two owners in the same industry, right? Do the same
Yeah.
thing, but have different responsibilities. Maybe one
Yeah.
guy does all he does is sales, where this other guy, maybe he's the third generation business owner, and he only shows up. There's a lot of scenarios that can kind of come in, and some people are like, "Hey, I'll just chat GPT this valuation." Well, that
Yeah.
may
Fun.
the problem is that, like you said, when it comes down to it, and it's real. Hey, if you're not really taking into account that each business is unique, like I said,
Yeah.
our database is, like I said, we can look at some transactions, okay, but that doesn't give us really a strong opinion on, hey, what that business value is, right? And
Hmm.
depending on what we're selling to the client, right?
Yeah. So, just so um, our audience knows, what's the
Sure.
range that someone will pay for business valuations? And I know it depends on the size, it depends on lots of things, but give us a
Yeah,
range of what it costs.
I usually charge anywhere from $500 to 5,000. Right?
Hmm.
So usually stuff that usually only takes me a few hours to do, meaning if they have their financials ready, it really only takes me a few hours of work to do
Hmm.
it, and then obviously put a presentation together, depending on how they want the report, right? That type of thing. Um, but yeah, today probably, like you said, I usually like, hey, again, in terms of like when I'm doing litigation type of work, business valuation type of thing, yeah, I charge. I
It's a different
charge.
story.
Yeah, I'm not going to charge $500. It's more like I can go up to 5 grand, depending on if it's a thing where I may have to testify or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, our time grows short here, but
Sure.
tell me what's next for Josh Hyman Inc. What's next? What's got your excitement? What are you looking to do? How are you going to build your business?
Yeah, well,
Um,
obviously, I have a number of some junior analysts that work under me. So I've got some working on that direction. Obviously, I'm working also on software and different things in this industry. Like I said, I personally, I'm at this point, I personally believe that I'm the best in the world when it comes to valuing these private companies.
Good for you.
So essentially, trying to put my brain behind software and AI, and trying to obviously, that's obviously going to be the next generation of financial analyst, right? So,
Hmm.
but like you said, at the same time, I've learned enough now that probably, and I've worked hard. The most precious thing is time, right?
Yeah.
So, really thinking about, when I'm looking at my business or getting involved, because I'm obviously to be, part of different businesses all the time, and I tell all these guys all the time, it's like, hey, I got to either love this or the exit's got to be worth my time, right? I've
Hmm.
been at a fintech conference where where the exits are life changing, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's worth our time. Whereas you have some type of business ideas, you're like, no, a couple $100,000 or something. Okay, how much time am I going to have to devote to that business? How much is said and things. And I think I've grown and matured to the things where I weigh all of those factors now. Whereas
Hmm.
before it was strictly, hey, if it's going to make money,
Hmm. That's right. That's
then
right.
I should,
Yeah.
then we should run. And now I think, like I said, I need to go back in time and trust, right? In this game, and especially in business, small business, integrity is everything, right?
That's right.
And that is the pillar. And then obviously, for me, looking at business at the time, I'm looking at, okay, what's my time in terms of enjoyment of work. What am I going to
Hmm.
do? What do I like to do? And then at the same time, obviously, what's the economics of it? Right?
That's right. That's right. So, as we get ready to wrap up here, Josh,
Sure,
what is a couple pieces of advice you would share with other veteran entrepreneurs?
sure.
Um, what are a couple things you would say? hey, Joe or Jill, you got to do X or avoid that? What are some of those things you've seen again and again?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is making sure that that you have some passion behind it. For me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Obviously DRCE. Obviously, I've been involved with many business ventures. I would say the reason why DRCE was successful because the tree was good. It was rooted in the right place, right? It's not a money or thing. It was really about the client first that did the motive, and I really kind of take that to heart when I'm looking at businesses. So for
Hmm.
me, that it's always that. And then, like you said, um, uh, that's great. And then probably the second leg of thing, probably we were talking about was your time, right? Time is our most
Yeah.
precious asset, and so finding a business now, because today businesses are flexible, right? Hey, is this business going to how much traveling am I going to need to do? How much FaceTime am I going to need to do?
Hmm.
How much payroll am I going to be willing to cover, right? Because that's
Right.
once you've gone through the stress of that, you're like, hey, how much do I want to put on my plate? In putting that
Yeah.
all together, and I think and taking your time to find that, finding either that, franchise your own business or finding, just finding your own way of life. And like I said, if you let the passion doing there, then something like your disability, like for me, it became the second nature. Once
Yep.
that colonel came back to me and put that passion back under me, it was like, hey, I was a new man.
Wow. That's amazing. And do you remember that colonel's name? Did I ask you that yet?
No, it's been a long time, right? And
Okay.
we
Understood.
had a lot
Understood.
of guys
Absolutely.
visitors. But see, that's what I'm saying in the Marine Corps and the Marine Corps legacy. Obviously, I love all the branches and everything. But just I think like I said, being part of the Marine Corps history and lore, and they never stopped. And to this day, the Marines have never stopped having my back. Right? They've never stopped being there
Wonderful.
for me.
Uh-huh.
And so, I
Yep.
say how fortunate I am. Unfortunately, like you said, we lost 14 guys on that operation, and like I said, I owe it to them to live my life, the way I want and to enjoy and to obviously go after my goals. I
Hmm.
think about them when, obviously I'm down or anything like. It's like, hey, you're a lucky guy, Josh.
Uh-huh. God bless you, man. That's for sure. So, real quick, what are some resources that you would say that every business owner should have, whether it's a book, a podcast they should be listening to? What are just a couple of resources that you're like,
Yeah,
why haven't you read this or looked
yes,
at this or
it's a very good question.
what-
I say this. I because of my finance obsession, I read over 400 books in terms of valuation, private equity. I'm very obsessive about the multiple certifications and everything. And you know what I say? My biggest request is to go back and read the Bible. There's one book that's much better. It will teach you in more philosophy about life and the way you need to think about it than I personally believe a lot of the business books out there. So I'll leave it at
Mhm.
that.
That's a powerful statement. I'm a believer, and I did not know that you were, and um, it's just so Jen and I read the Bible every day, and that's the way we start a morning, and it really does help center us and deal with the challenges that we face each day. You know,
Yeah.
we're reading Jeremiah right now, and I don't know how he just keeps getting up. Like, you did what? And then that happened. They put you in a well, and they like, my gosh,
Yeah.
it's
And
unbelievable.
I think
It's
like I said, at the end of the day, it's talking about, like you said, who you should do business with. We're talking about, thinking about doing business with integrity and things like that. Those are the things that, like you said, I think make are going to would turn out to be successful in the long run, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Josh, I want to say thank you for your service to our country.
Appreciate
Thank you
that,
for
Ryan.
having the courage and to be a business owner. It takes equal parts crazy and courage to be a business owner, man. And how do people find you? Where do we find Josh Hyman when we need the best
Yeah,
evaluation company in the world?
sure. Yeah, you can find me at valuationadvisor.com there. And like you said, I have services. I teach a course as well in valuation. I train analysts out there all over the world. So if you're really into this type of thing, feel free to check it out.
Well, offline, we'll have to follow up about that course. I'd love to learn more about that and
Sure.
see how you
Okay.
do that and everything. So, but again, Josh, thank you so much. I look forward to having lunch with you soon. It's been way too long, as you know,
Yes.
and I always enjoy our conversations. That's for sure. Thanks for joining us on the MILCOM Founders Podcast. If you know a MILCOM founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, One Degree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Floges Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MILCOM business owner. Stay ready.